What is up?
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. We're not doing German good morning. No.
Absolutely not.
How Shashi wants to change the way we greet each other. Say good morning.
This is what happens when you get too deep into your work, right? Like he's in the policy space, so he's constantly telling people
No, no,
what to
no.
do and how to do.
This is when you've been rebel enough for all your life and now you're an uncle, you don't know what to rebel against. These small things you're going after, right?
Talking of Rebel, Shashi tells me that you guys went for a movie last night.
Yeah, we did. Uh, we went to the Inox, which is now PVR Inox. We should talk about mergers at some point. Um, at Mall de Goa. It's the only mall in Goa.
Yeah.
And the second I stepped into the mall, I was like, I do not miss this. I do not miss going to a mall. I've never liked going to a mall. And the mall is such a concept in itself, right? This is anyway. Yeah, so we went to Oppenheimer. We got some really good Nepali food before that, which was actually the highlight of my evening, if you ask me. Uh, and yeah, Oppenheimer was. I don't know what they were trying to do with this movie. I see Barbie hype, and I see why uh, people love the idea of a Barbie movie, and it from what I've heard about the movie, it's checking a lot of things that women really wanted. They just wanted a frivolous movie for women, right? In some sense,
They wanted their
and
Avengers.
no, it's not even that, right? They look, man, Fast and the Furious, right? Let's talk about that for a second before we come to. That's a frivolous movie, right? It's the first one was, what do horny teenagers like? Cars, booty, and wild parties that they cannot go to that don't exist, right? These things don't exist. It's fantasy, right? And they put those things together, and they were like, here. But it was such, and I really think of the term male gaze as something to learn from, right? It's just that for so long we've just made these things without really knowing what another gender wants, right? That's about it. It comes from ignorance, and we've been so ignorant for so long that it's like a thing now, right? So when somebody says, hey, you're looking at this through the male gaze, for me it's a learning opportunity. It's like, okay, cool, tell me what am I missing. There's some key insight I'm missing over here, right? Show me that. And Barbie was that, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because Ajay, lawyer Ajay, his first book was the same thing. When I read it, I was like, what is this? There's no content. He's like, dude, white people get to write shit all the time and throw it on the airport. Why can't I? I want to write shit. I don't want to write meaningful stuff. I'm done writing meaningful stuff. I'm done writing things which are deep and insightful and the lived experience of a brown man, right? Who gives a fuck? I just want to write because I enjoy writing. And Barbie felt like finally they let somebody take charge and make something for women, which is, I don't care what it is, right? Just here's $1 billion, go make something epic, right?
What? It cost $1 billion.
No, I didn't cost $1 billion. But I do know it made $500 million in the first week.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Metal, the guys behind Hot Wheels and Barbie, have decided to throw down on this because of this. They're like, Barbie worked. It was genius. There's clearly a demand for the campy, uh, subtle undertones of messaging, but overall a fun picture, right? So they're throwing down on this, and they're doing a whole series of these movies. So after Marvel and DC, you now have Metal stepping into the mainstream movie franchise.
Yeah. But you didn't go for Barbie, right? You went for Oppenheimer. Tell me about that.
I would have preferred to have gone for Barbie, I think. Uh, look, man, you know my history. I come from film. I've done film analysis. I've made film, and like, it's still a dream for me, right? Like, and I totally resonate with Sheikh when he told me, we'll make film when we're older, bro. We'll have gone through life and like, like we'll have stories to tell, right? Like, then we'll make film. And I didn't get it when I was like 22, 23 because I had not lived life. And I was like, no, my imagination, I will conjure up something, right? And Nolan, to be honest, Nolan was among the few directors which I really looked up to, right? Like, and increasingly, I find the problem with him is he's overfunded. It's the same problem with like a lot of our startups, right? Like, overfunded, too much burn, too many thoughts, too many tangents of experiments, not enough uh, like a bootstrap founder has to do 5D chess before he takes a decision, right? Like he has to really weigh it out. And if you see Nolan's first few films, he was tight budget. He didn't have like star cast actors. He had to like make do with his wife and brother and stuff. And like, uh, and those movies are like truly genius because he had nothing else to rely on other than like what you would call first principles, right? Like the core fundamental knowledge of filmmaking, storytelling, and like that's all matter, right? With Oppenheimer, I think I think there was too much budget and he didn't know what to spend it on, so he went and spent it on 70 film stock, which
Yeah,
is
that's the
like,
thing, right? Like the more coverage I heard about Oppenheimer was around the technical aspect of the film, right?
yeah, there's another director who does this, who spends years and decades in researching and developing technology, but when he puts something out, it's a different kind of blockbuster, like Avatar. And I'm talking about James Cameron,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the amount of like it's constantly, oh, this guy took a decade and a half to like make this film because he had to build the tech and the tech wasn't there. So like he waited for, I don't know. I think he's like he's probably the first person to have a quantum computer at home right now, and he's probably doing some whack shit for the next Avatar, right? Like, or who knows what like thing that he's gonna be making, right? And it's insane with him because he always takes like, to him it's like, oh, okay, I'm making this tech, but like I don't know his process, but here's my guess, right? Either he comes up with or like he sees these bits and pieces of tech and he's like, he writes a script which is so phenomenal that like you need that tech to kind of pull it off, but he doesn't stop there. He kind of pushes the boundary. He's like on literally some other planet, and all the tech is like, okay, cool, we will build this to make your reality come true. And then you have somebody like Nolan, who I have such mad respect because of his use of film language in so many cases. Go and spend all his money on old tech, like felt very like I think he's hanging out with too many white men. And it's
But
this whole
this point on James Cameron, right? Like Avatar 1 was to me like a game changer, right? Like I had never seen anything
yeah.
like that at
Joe and I
all.
watched it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But Avatar 2 was kind of a disappointment. Like
haven't seen it.
in terms of that awe factor, right? Like it was marginally worse than Avatar 1, if you ask me. Like you
Yeah,
felt it was not real, right? Like you were able to tell that it was not real.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have no opinions on Avatar 2. I haven't watched it yet. I guess the hype, like, to me, I had very strong opinions on Avatar the day after I watched it as well. For me, movies are about storytelling and not about technology. It's like like saying I built this blog on what is that thing, Kubernetes, right? Like I deployed an entire like stack and like I built, and it's a blog at the end of the day, and like 4 people are visiting it. What's the point of all that? Like, right?
Yeah.
Um, I really like this podcast thing that we've been attempting from that perspective, right? Like this, like let's build something out of this, and we're just like, how it's the fastest way to market, right? Like, uh, right, and I get it, right? Like Nolan at this point in his career is thinking, how do I like, how do I better best myself, and it becomes really challenging, right? Like, and I think the movie was more about that. It's about like no matter how better I do, and then this is like sort of trying to paraphrase what Nolan's thoughts are. You guys are never going to be happy, and like I'm never gonna surpass certain things that I did in my past, and that's what it was like the movie was, I think, about that more, that you might make the most amazing thing in the world, and then people will look at you a week after that and be like, so what's next? And wait for you to, it's like the next thing, like you said, Avatar 2 wasn't as cool as Avatar 1, but like if you had never seen Avatars and this was the first like sort of movie that it would be mind blowing, right? Like um, in some sense, I don't know, like I guess we set ourselves up for one we initial phase of putting too much expectation on yourself to outperform everything,
Yeah.
and then after that crazy expectation is sort of passed on to your audience, and
You make a very interesting point. Like a lot of times people feel that failure is a burden, but actually failure is liberating, right? Success is a burden. It's such a
oh my
big
god,
burden to carry, right?
oh yeah, yeah. I remember after the Palace Ground Big Mushroom Cloud, I remember waking up the next morning and like just being utterly bummed, right? Like totally like just out of it. Uh, my body was tired on top of it because like of all that running around and painting and like then playing a show. Um,
Did you
there
record
was like
that event to some
there is
degree?
footage.
Man, I think that was one of the best things that you've ever created, in my opinion, right? Like, as a fan of the work that you've done over the years, like, that is
Yeah,
something which still, like, I can close my eyes and visualize that night, and it is unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
thanks, Haji. But like, yeah, I guess like the burden of success and failure, right? Like that was one of the things in my life that feels like both at the same time.
To me, it was like a crowning glory, right? Like,
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? Like everyone will always come and like tell you this, and this is the true burden of success because you don't know how much failure has gone into that success, and yeah, and you don't know like I guess it comes down. I think this is a general like human nature thing, right? Like, and one of my favorite anecdotes of late is about monopolies. That and Peter Thiel says that people who have monopolies will always tell you that they don't have a monopoly. Google's always trying to tell you they don't have a monopoly in ad revenue. They're a tech company and they're really competing with Microsoft and all of that, but they've like dominated the advertising market. And then the flip side also is true, wherein like people who don't have a monopoly constantly try to convince you that they do. Like, I'm the only Indo-Korean fusion restaurant in Kandolim. Is like, and I have a monopoly in Kandolim. No, you don't. There's like 500 restaurants in Kandolim. Like,
oh
so,
man.
and I think it's the same with success and failure in some sense as well. The people who are successful are always going to be try and be humble about it and be like, no, no, no. I think I'm just doing a job. I'm just doing my best. And the people who failed are like desperately, no, there was success in there. We won at this thing. Um, we might have failed in the overall, but like these were our wins. Like, yeah.
No, but there is some beauty to failure. Like
No,
you
I
take
have a
away
whole
so
new
much.
concept.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend, it was this friend of mine, or rather acquaintance, like connected every like 2 years once ish, and she's going through her own journey, has her own personal stuff, and like is an artist, right? And she always thought like France and Paris was like the peak of art, and so she studied French and went there and had the worst 2 years of her life over there, and came back and more personal dejection and loss and things like that, and like so she's in this like who am I, what am I journey all over again. She's been slightly successful with her art career here in India. When she came back and she was just like, I'm just doing this, and she just went for it, and she kept like trying to. She showed me a painting yesterday, and she was like, "This is not my best yet," and I was like, "Why are you even bothering like judging your own work at all, right?" Like, and I feel like with creators and artists and like entrepreneurs, startups, whoever it is, like I feel like there's only two states, right? Like either it exists or it doesn't exist. Either it's an idea in your head and it doesn't really exist, or it does and like people have experienced it and they're giving you the feedback. So it's like, to paraphrase, I think Shakespeare, it is like a to be or not to be kind of a situation. So either it is or it isn't. Good bad is totally it's up to everybody else's
Yeah, yeah.
opinion, right? Like, so when you said last year let's do a podcast, I was like, either it is or it isn't, and now it is. I don't care who, like, if I were to give you some marketing spiel about our podcast, we surpassed our goal last week of how many viewers we would have. We have 10 subscribers on this channel, okay?
Really?
Yeah, we
I,
have 10
I,
subscribers.
I didn't even
Mostly.
bother checking.
Yeah, I know you don't, because I know you don't care, and this is precisely the point I'm making, that either it is or it isn't, and all of everything else is just vanity, right? Like after that, and I'm a sucker for vanity. I like my vanity. I'm a bougie ass motherfucker. I like goals and like numbers, and like I want to show off as well. I have ambitions, so I went like just before we logged in. I just checked it out. We have 10 subscribers, right? Like every other channel I've tried to start has like always been like a percentage of viewers from your subscription base, right? Like so, Mouth of Word has about 250 subscribers. It's been years since I uploaded anything, but if I do upload something new, I'm guessing it's around the 15 to 20% range because the audience is concentrated. The average is 6%, is what I would say. Like average like subscriber to viewer ratio would be about 6%. Okay. Uh, we have 10 subscribers. 12 people watched our episode last week. So whoever those two people are, please subscribe. Like
Isn't it a little
my
too early
vanity.
to? Oh
No,
man.
it's this also. No, there's never too early to throw in a call to action, right? Like,
Right.
if people are watching, that's a soft buy. Step in, welcome, join the cult. Come to the dark side.
You know, for
Sorry,
me,
it's
it's just so.
a
Yeah,
garbage guy.
we should take
It's
out the trash.
amazing how Goa like operates to the T and almost also not. Like he comes between 10 and 11.
Okay.
Like, yeah, but he'll show up.
Oh, that's damn cool. No, what I was trying to say is, for me, the most important thing is to just show up, right? Like, I don't care
Yeah.
what we achieve, what we don't achieve, just show up and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I want to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and thank you for the wake up calls. I think there's that one thing is like making sure that we're here and we're doing this.
Yeah. Cool. So, what's been up?
What's been up? Um, So I have this sheet going since March, when I kind of got here, and kind of predicted a dip in clean design company activities. It came about a month earlier, but I'm like super happy because I kind of like surpassed my goals anyways. Uh, so basically, the sheet is a sheet of ideas, and what I've done is I've listed an idea for a plausible venture, and I'm like, what is the revenue model? Right? Like, so is it e-commerce? Is it transaction basis? What is the revenue model? And I put two priority lists, right? Like, one is what is my assume potential of the idea, and very simple, like high potential, medium potential, low potential. That's about it. And the other is the cost factor, right? Like high, low, medium. And so I've been adding ideas as and when I get them. I come pitch to you. I pitch to a few people, and like if it seems like it's doable, I put it down there. I don't start working on it immediately. And there are some ideas which I have started working on. I put a pause on them. Like they're just there, right? I don't want to like lose out on putting down the idea. And it was very interesting that that last week is finally like we're already like 9 ideas in there. Which I mean, of course, like they're the top 9 from the 900 this year, right? Like, and last week in discussion with Smokey, we were like, we finally arrived at an idea which has genuine potential, which has the what I would call the founder product fit, right? Like you should have some domain. There needs to be an undue advantage that you have for solving this problem. And yeah, and then I did the frugal thing. I didn't buy the domain. I just checked if the domain's available that I want, and I was like, yeah, it's there. And I was like, in my head again, probability. What are the chances somebody is going to come up with the domain name?
Does it really matter?
Does it really matter is a very interesting question. It did matter till about like a year ago, 2 years ago, when Google had this priority for .com domains. They've gotten rid of it for obvious reasons, right?
The world is expanding, bro.
Yeah, and it's also ridiculous that like a lot of domains are like named after countries, right? Like it's not like .io is about the I forget. I think the Indian Ocean islands, the British islands. Yeah, and like AI is on some other country. Like it's got nothing to do with artificial intelligence or input output or whatever it is, right?
.com is a alias for .co.us, commerce.us.
Oh, I always thought it was .company for some reason.
No. It's an alias for .co.us.
Interesting. Very fascinating. Yeah. Also, like, what's going on with this domain thing? Is Google actually shutting down Google domains?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention there anymore.
Oh, okay. No, there was some chatter about it last month, and like people are discussing what service to move to, and most people in India have to switch back to GoDaddy. You know how
Oh, good
disappointing
lord!
that is?
Not that. Like, I don't know how many years it took for them to realize
Hey,
that
no,
this
talk
guy.
to me. You're like you know the back end of the internet universe better than I do. What does it take to be a domain hosting service? Like let's clone domains.google.com, right? Like
Yeah.
just clone it. And like what does it like really take to run it to the back end? Like is it an expensive affair? Is it
No,
like,
no. It's a very cheap thing to do actually.
okay.
So you basically need to be a registrar, right?
Right.
You need to basically integrate with all the other registrars and be in sync on who owns what, right?
Yeah.
And then you need to have a domain name server, right?
Okay.
So whenever anyone is looking for a name, you basically will be able to provide that information, right?
Okay.
So you're the authority, the domain authority who
You're the
can,
postmaster.
yeah, in a sense, right?
Okay.
So you're the domain authority who can, correctly give you the address of that domain name. And it's an open source software. I'm sure people have written customizations for scale, but it's not complicated. It's very, very basic. So you'll basically tie up with the ISPs, you will tie up with other registrars and exchange information, but it's very, very basic, low tech.
And it's all like or mostly automated, I'm guessing. Like you don't
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
really do too much work.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to go pitch it to the founder community and see if I can find a co-founder to help me out with this.
Why would you want to do that? Like, why reinvent the wheel?
No, because
That's
it's not about reinvent the wheel, right? Like there is a very clear need gap, and like Google's like such an expert at this, right? Like
No. So here's the and this is what I was kind of trying to get to. In your list of ideas, you spoke about probability, you spoke about cost, but the one thing you didn't speak about was margin, right?
I told you, no, potential, the potential of the business.
Margin, boss. Come back to
Yeah,
basic numbers.
I know. So I'm like, so this sheet is not for that. It's for like, let me put it this way. I only build things that I want. If I don't want it, or if I don't see a direct use for it for myself and for people around me, I feel like it's something like beyond my grasp. It's something beyond my abilities. Like
That's
okay,
fine.
so this sheet is that sheet. Is that like raw idea, rough idea? I don't care. Like I just want to have an estimated potential, right? Like my next steps are like everything to figure out what that number is, what that margin is. To figure that out is my
Yeah.
next steps, right?
Absolutely, it should be your next step. See, the reason why I'm kind of harping on this is because time, bro. Like we're getting old, right? Like, what will you spend your time on, right? If it doesn't have the margin for you to scale it up and make it a profitable business, there's no point in spending that time. And which is
So
why you end up
yeah,
with a GoDaddy, right? Because there's not enough margin in the domain business, and therefore you have to resell servers and
bundling,
other.
right? Like there's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of bundling that's happening, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that, and I see why like most people are probably going to switch to Cloudflare or like well, Namecheap is not allowed in India for some reason, and this is just all the gossip that I kind of gathered, and like this is what I've kind of figured. So my opinions on that have changed actually. The fact of we have limited time. If you're not building a profitable business, why are you building it at all? This is where I feel like there's a conversation about value, right? And there's a conversation about cash flow. And um, hear me out, okay? Uh, Even up until last year, I was like, yeah, just build for cash flow, right? Like everything else would fall into place automatically, right? Like if you're smart enough and build for cash flow, your startup business, whatever it is, will sustain itself, right? Keep you going for the long. You get past that 3 year itch, right? Like and then things really start moving. Uh, and I only feel because for those 3 years you've just been pushing, right? Like you've just been trying to communicate and talk to so many people. Something or the other will finally, the network effects finally start to take root, and like that something works out, right? So, uh, but to get to that 3 year period, cash flow is important, and like you need to, but and I've always thought the whole VC funded blitzscaling startup is not for everyone. It's for a select few, and not from some elitist privileged perspective. It's just there are few people who understand how that works and how to utilize it to run their business, and they enjoy doing it is what I feel, right? Like, I feel like they really like going and pitching to investors and getting that money. And it's that same rush I get when I close a customer, right? Like, for me, that's more validating, that's more useful. So, I enjoy bootstrapping a lot more. There is value in going the VC funded route. What I feel though today is there's a weird democratization of M&A happening, right? Mergers and acquisitions were something that you and I always thought was like between a big company and a slightly smaller but very successful company that's happening. Today you have sites like acquire.com and easy acquire for the Indian context, and you have, I'm sure there's a lot more marketplaces like this coming up, which allow you, a developer who has no interest in blitzscaling or growing a giant ass solution, but like you found a need gap and you just wanted to solve it because it's useful for you. You're more likely a customer to that solution rather than the owner or a founder who is going to go and sell this solution to tons of customers. So you build, get that early traction, get 4-5 customers, right? Like not too much. Show the potential, right? Like that, look, this is the customer base, this is who needs it. I'm in an early stage. I have no interest building out this as a business. I am super interested in building solutions. You can go host it on one of these acquisition sites and somebody will bundle it together, right? Like they'll have a tech team, they will have the marketing, they'll see how bringing your product onto their platform and like making it a combined bundled solution or whatever it is increases their ARPUs, right? So I think acquisition is going to be the next big thing for the next 4-5 years, especially to kind of encourage designers and developers to just build solutions without really thinking of, without having the need to do business, right? Like, and we both know we've like sort of built this. No. There's a startup. We're not talking about startups. We're talking about people who are not interested in building startups. We're talking about people who are interested in only building solutions. Because what I figure is there is a solution maker, and then there is the person with the business acumen to take that solution, convert it into something that people love, brand it, and do the outreach and go to market. These are two different skills, and for so long VCs are saying no, stuff it together in one place and you come to me with that package, right? Like, and then I will invest.
Yeah, so
but I think there's this huge potential to just build solutions and sell them to people who are interested in running them.
So I agree with you on the acquisitions part, but where I'll disagree with you is that cannot be the goal, right? You still have to go through the motions of building a company, right? But
You don't. That's my whole point.
This is one of those options if things don't pan out the way you wanted it to.
No. I'm saying this could be your exit, right? Like I don't care if that guy takes it and shelves it, no problem. But like it's
I respect your view, but
no, it's like I really see this. There's a lot of developers. Like I wish I had this M&A thing, marketplace available, because I would have sold mouth of word on it. I would have told them, look, I have this audience base. I have these super users who contribute or create user-generated content, very high-level user-generated content. I don't want to run it anymore. Somebody else take over. This is something that people really enjoy. It's working. It's a cash flow positive business. I've got it to that place. And
see, that's the point, right? That's the motion of company building, right?
no, sure, but like, say I sell 4 or 5 of this. My portfolio is that this guy, whatever he builds is like the reputation builds up, right? Like, so the 5th, 6th thing that I build and want to sell might not have the kind of traction or that positive cash flow there, but they'll be like, okay, considering his past, there's a potential here.
What you're describing is a frenzy.
A what?
A frenzy. So markets go into this frenzy from time to time, right?
Of course.
We saw it
bull
in
run.
so many things, right? But when the chips are down, everybody just reverts to the basics, right? They're like, hey, I get it, you're this really smart person, but show me the numbers.
Sure. I mean, like, and then what? I want to go put in 4 more months of work and get that numbers, and then come back and sell it to the same guy for 4x the price and laugh at him, right? Like, man, you had the chance. I see this shift happening, and it's not a me perspective. I want to do this. I'm not yet there. I do want to try, and I'll come back to you 5 years later and tell you how it worked out. But like, I see a lot of developers in this space, right? Like, they just want to build new things and hop onto new ideas from time to time to time. And I don't know if you know this guy, Tony Din. He builds these really small, cool tools, man. Like, I really like him. He's like this. I think he's from Thailand or Philippines or something like that. Developer. He has a really cool screenshotting tool which gives a gradient background and like it does the rounded corners for your window, whatever your screenshot. Like makes your screenshot look social media ready, right? Like off after that click. Allows you some customization. So he's got that. He's also got like he built this amazing Twitter analytics tool that was way more powerful than the analytics Twitter was giving its users. It's called Black Magic, terrible name, but like just because of too many brand conflicts. But what? And a very interesting thing happened. Somebody offered him $500,000 to buy that. To buy his startup, right? Like his Twitter analytics startup, and this was a startup which was like which had now started making like some $5,000 or $7,000 a month. So there was like positive cash flow. He was like way more than ramen profitability, living a comfortable life, just doing this. Quit his job to do this full time. But like look at him. Like even though he had this like really good startup that he was running alone, was making him profits, he didn't stop there. He kind of hedged his bet. Like and I don't think it came from that I want to hedge my business risk, right? It didn't come from that. It came from that naive developer. Ooh, what's the next cool thing I can do, right? Like, so he built the screenshotting tool. Twitter launched their own analytics, which basically stole all his ideas, and they just like we'll just build it. Why should we acquire it, right? Like, and deplatformed him completely, right? Like, also the Twitter API thing came by, the high-priced API. And he was basically left in the dark. Somebody else came by and offered him 135 grand, right? And said, look, your product's defunct. The code is useful. So if I plug in some other data, it should still give me the kind of analytics. Give it to me, I'll do something. So like, and the guy was like, okay, you know, I didn't make my $500,000. But fine, like this is at least something, right? Like
that's what I'm saying, right? These
but like what other option?
What
other option did he have? Because it's not making him money anymore. Like
exactly.
that 50 grand API from Twitter, like just shut his business down overnight.
Exactly, that's the point I'm making, right? Like when your plans don't go out, pan out the way you wanted it to, these acquisition, kind of becomes an option for you to
it's a good solution there, but I do feel there's going to be a bunch of people who are just going to make and sell.
Only time will tell.
No. I will tell you. I am experimenting. I am doing this, right? Like I have like super low hanging fruit. I want to build something. Like I was going through some of these the marketplace and what people are selling and all of that, and I was like, so two ideas I have. One, I want to buy something which somebody has made, but first I want to sell something that I have made. And then I was looking at what other stuff people are selling, and there's a crock pot recipe app. Yeah, like hear me out. There's a crock pot recipe app. He claims he's got 18,000 recipes on it. Okay, he's selling it for $17,000.
Very nice. I like it.
Right, and his claim is that it's it's making revenue through ads. He spends about $1,200 maintaining a backend and stuff like that, and he makes like $5.5 grand out of it. So
Very nice.
yeah, $17,000. Like, you're a finance guy. Tell me how the financing works for this. Can I take this $17,000 financing? He's making $5,700 a month, right? Like, I don't even need to spend my own money. I'll upfront like $2,000 and take a loan for the rest $15,000, and like in like 3-4 months I would have paid off that loan, right? It's like a ready cash flow business which will just make me money for no reason. Throw in my branding and like content creation acumen, I can probably up that number by just by sheer improvement of quality of design, right?
Yeah, that's what all these private equity firms are, right? They just come in and buy a business. They know how to kind of milk it for
Yeah,
what it's worth, and then they sell it, right?
yeah. So like crockpot
You
recipe
should you
app
should
guy.
follow Pooja Sarkar on Twitter. So she was really kind of looking at this private equity market. While everybody was talking about the VC market, she was really looking in the private equity market, and she
Dude,
has some fantastic
this
stories.
is the yeah, I'm gonna Pooja.
Sarkar.
Should I go to
I don't,
x.com or Twitter? Yes.
so she's not reporting anymore right now. She's doing some education course abroad. But like if you just go through her timeline, you'll see a whole bunch of articles that she's written on the private equity
Okay,
space.
send me the link later.
Yeah.
Why is Mid Journey trending? What do they do now? Oh, it's just regular trending. Okay, nothing important.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing. Like my first experiment, and this is something we're trying to do, is in the next 2-3 months, we want to launch something so simple as a like a crock pot recipe app, right? And I just want to see if like we can get some early traction, get a whole bunch of users, get it to cash flow positivity in some sense. Like, and I don't care if it is we are spending $200 a month and we're making $300 a month. No worries. Like, it's cash flow positive, right? Like, and like show potential user growth and all of this GTM strategy that they can keep at, like, and like I just want to sell it for like $3,000-4,000, just like super low priced sell or merger, right? Like, just buy this business for like
Go for
almost.
it. It should be extremely fun for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun. Like, I'm so looking forward to it, and yeah, and so that's the next few things that I'm like planning to do. Yeah, so now I'm gonna bother you again like last time. I'm going to like screen share and show me how to use GitHub.
You know, you should get better at planning, right? You should tell me that, okay, this is what you're expecting.
I told you this 2 weeks ago.
I'll still try.
Okay.
Um, so I just need to,
Can I set as a goal?
sure.
And I don't mind if you say we not do this now, we do it next episode, no worries. But this is my goal, right? Like, I really only want to understand this much. There's this AI tool called Gan. Okay. It does some funky stuff, right? Like, I can take an image of a lion and I can use some 2 vector points and say that turn the lion's face from this side to this side, and it does some computation. And this thing runs like standalone, like there nobody's hosted it anywhere, something like that. So I want to be able to like pull that Git repository and run it on my PC, and that's what I want to do.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. So let
So
me
that's my
try.
like step one plan, right? Like, if I can do this, then I can like probably do this with multiple things on GitHub and like start getting the experience of.
Got it. I'm just trying to see if I can do a demo for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the chat, I'm just dropping you the link to Gan.
Okay.
Yay! Works.
So this is our Pakoda Profit website's code, right?
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know we
what-
had one of those.
So I'm just going to copy this,
Okay.
right? I went to code and I went to clone,
Uh,
and I'm cloning via the SSH method, right?
Okay.
And I'm just copying this. Now I'm going to
What is
uh,
this?
this is my terminal, right?
Okay. Huh.
So I'm going to clone this,
Okay.
right? Okay, 1 second. It is 7. One second. Why can't it find the pattern?
So what am I looking at?
No. So it's I had done this a long time ago,
Hmm.
right? And the keys have changed, right? Probably this one. Let's see. Offending key is 7. See, all these problems you have to run into.
Nice. Security, bro. Security.
Yeah.
I want anybody else seeing your index.html.
Let me try and simplify it for myself and go the. But I don't remember these keys also.
Okay. No, yeah,
Okay.
terrible, terrible from my end too. Like,
Wait,
just.
we've achieved it,
Oh, okay. Awesome.
right? So what we just did is we cloned it, right?
Hmm.
So it went, my computer did not have this folder.
Right.
I ran this command git clone,
Hmm.
right? And then it took the folder from GitHub
Hmm.
and then copied it into my local machine,
Oh, okay. Cool.
right? And then I'm doing a list of that directory and it's showing me a index.html, right? And I'm opening the index.html and it says hello world,
Ah.
right? So now let's do the same thing with your uh, drag GAN.
Okay.
So I'm going to do HTTPS, copy this. I'm going to get out of the Pakoda Profit one, and I'm going to say git clone this. So it's copying Dragan to my
Wow.
computer.
It's like literally downloading in front of you.
Yeah, right.
Like
So
some
now,
asshole would have like made a user interface for all of this.
yeah. So here you go, Dragon's here.
Oh, okay.
So now I can just look at the requirements.txt. I need to download and install all of these things,
Ah.
and then there. Let me just see the README. It's a HTML README. Okay. Let's look at their README here. Yeah. Requirements. Okay. Pip install. Okay. Oh, you need to set up Docker and all that. Pre-trained weights. Okay. So it's just a shell script. So where was this? Scripts dot. Yeah.
It's a lot of PKs.
PYs you mean. Oh, these one, PK1. Okay. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a setup that you need to do. And then you just need to basically say scripts GUI. It's going to fail when I run this because
You haven't done the setups.
yeah, permission denied. I've not made it executable. Python command not found. Yeah. So basically, once you set it up, you'll be able to run this, and then it'll start your UI for you.
Oh, okay. So I just go to terminal
Yeah.
and copy the get code thing
Huh.
and be like, hey, terminal, just download this for me.
Yeah.
And then go back to the GitHub, that page, and like
this
see what
page.
all, and I think they've like told you what all you need to get and what code to run to get.
Yeah, but they're giving you the delta, right? So they're saying, hey, you need to run these conda commands, but they're not telling you how to install conda. They're asking you to run a pip command, but they're not telling you how to set up virtual environments, right? So they're not giving you the 100%. They're just giving you the delta.
Yeah,
So you
somebody
need
who
to know.
knows will like be able
Yeah.
to. Okay, cool. So sometime next week we'll set all this up, or rather, like you could be the voice in my head while I set it up on my machine, right? Like,
So probably what we can do is I can share tutorials for the setup. So then you can set up those individual softwares, and then you can run all of these commands, right? So then we can kind of do a
and
session
then we
together.
can
But
like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a great next episode. But I like that this like the end is some learning exchange.
Huh?
Because, yeah, from I hate Oppenheimer to GitHub's awesome, I'm finally starting to understand it. A great trajectory, I think.
Very nice.
What's up with you? You have 4 minutes.
Why is there a lot of noise? Is it raining around you?
It just started.
Ah.
Like, here, let me show you. Don't mind
It's
the
like
mess.
deafening noise.
Yeah, it's just like,
Wow. Goa rain, bro.
yeah, out of nowhere.
But right on cue, right? Like just when it's time to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this episode, it's been things have been kind. No internet outages, no electricity outages. I guess if I had to really complain, it would be about Oppenheimer. But yeah, nothing else. Great. Like yesterday was such a beautiful day here because it didn't rain yesterday and the sun was out. Just so nice. Such a pleasant blue sky day. And and then we're back to regular broadcast.
But the sound is deafening. I think we should can it for now.
Okay, yeah.
But it's been a fun time.
Yeah, this was good. We should do a guest next time. What do you think?
I'm sorry?
I said we should do a guest next time.
We'll figure
Not
it out.
yet there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, cool. Cool beans. Alright, this is great. Thanks, Haji. Take care.
Take care now.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.